Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to another week of art. Last week, I had you all draw a cat. We talked about how a cat can be created with really simple shapes like a big U for the head, some triangles for the ears, and a heart for the nose. This week we're going to be adding color and we're going to be adding textures. Remember, textures are the way things feel. I mentioned to some of you that I have my Hugo the Hedgehog here, and when I touch Hugo, I think that he feels very soft and fuzzy. His texture is soft and fuzzy. When I touch something like this gourd, it's super bumpy and kind of hard. So, how can we draw the texture of an object, or in our case, an animal like a cat? Well, let's get started and I'll show you how. All right, here we go. So I've got my picture of my cat, who I have named Sam, just like Andy Warhol's cats. We're gonna start today with some crayons. And if you wanna use a pencil or markers for this part, that can definitely work to show texture. But I wanna start with crayons today just because I think they're gonna do a good job interacting with the color that we're gonna add in just a little bit. So first we'll add texture, then we'll add color. So when I look at a cat, I notice that there's a lot of fur and a lot of whiskers and all these little hairs sticking out everywhere. I want to try to make my cat look fuzzy. Right now, Sam doesn't look very fuzzy, so I'm actually going to take a black crayon and I'm going to add some lines all the way around Sam's body just like this to try to show that he is a fuzzy cat. Let's see how this works. All right, so I want to show that he's fuzzy on the inside, not just on the outlines, but also around his face, on his arms. Maybe I'll choose a different color for this part. I think I'm gonna go with this one. From here, I want to think about other things, like what would the texture of the collar be? So maybe I'll do lines going this way, and then lines going this way. Good. Now I want my cat Sam to have some stripes, because sometimes cats have a little bit of stripes. So I'm gonna take my black and I'm gonna do some scribbly stripes on his head and maybe down by his arms too, just like this. Scribble, 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 down to a point. Scribble, 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 down to a point. Kind of like that. Now, it's time to color the cat, and for this option, or this part of the assignment, you have a couple of choices. If you are someone that has some type of paint at home, like watercolor paint, this would be a great time to use watercolor paint. You could use your watercolor paint to paint in all the different areas, and remember, with watercolor paint, you definitely want some paper towel, you want your water, you want your brush, and I like to keep everything on the same side so I don't have a drippy mess. So maybe for this part, I'm just gonna use a little watercolor paint on the collar, and it's okay if you don't have watercolor paint right now. I just wanna show you what happens when we add a little bit of paint to the area that we drew on with crayons. Let's see what happens. I'll bring it nice and close to the camera. You'll notice that something really interesting is happening. The paint is going right up and over the areas where I used my crayon. That's because the crayon is made out of wax, which is very oily, and the watercolor is made mainly out of water. And water and oil do not mix. You can see it really well right there. So that is one way that you could use watercolor paint to color this. If you're someone that doesn't have paint at home, I bet a lot of you saw my demo last time, something you could do is marker painting. Now, I explained marker painting earlier this week. With marker painting, what you do is you take a marker and you're gonna draw just along the outside of your shape and maybe a little bit within it. And then we're gonna use our paintbrush to add water to it. So let's try it out. I'm gonna take my gray, because I want my cat to be gray, and I'm gonna very carefully color in my cat just around the edge of the face. I'm gonna jump right up and over that stripe right there. It's okay to go over some of the crayon with your marker, but you don't wanna get it too full of crayon. Another thing with marker painting, I wanna make sure to create a nice thick line by turning my marker sideways. Not a thin line. That's not gonna work very good. We want a thick line. And because this is a really big area, I am gonna add some more extra little texture with my marker. Okay, I'm gonna take my brush and let's add water to it to get the marker paint to work. Now, if you're someone that maybe does not have a paintbrush at home, remember, water painting can also work with your finger. Let's see if I can get it to work with my finger. I'm gonna press my paper very lightly. Okay, last but not least, I want to add a background. So I think I'm going to marker paint the background, and I'm going to show you a special way you can do this. I want the background to match my cat's eyes. So I'm going to use that blue. And instead of coloring this all in with a marker, now you absolutely could color this with markers if you want, but I'm going to marker paint. So I'm just going to add some simple stripes to the background like this. I'm gonna do that all the way down, and if I hit the cat, I'm gonna jump right over. Zzz, jump, zzz, jump, zzz. All right, now I'm gonna add some more water. Now remember, if you don't have a brush and you don't wanna get your finger wet, you can also use your paper towel. So what you can do is just make a little pointy area on your paper towel, just like that. Get a little bit of water on it. Not too much. And let's see how that works with the marker painting. All right, now my cat is complete. As you can see, I've got my area all marker painted. I was able to smear the marker ink all across the paper using my paper towel. For the body of the cat, I actually used my finger. For some of it, I used a brush. Now remember, you can use whatever method you want. Heck, if you want to color this whole thing in with markers or the whole thing in with crayons, you totally can do that. I just wanted to show you a neat way to create some texture. We've got our cat super duper fuzzy looking now, and I was able to paint pretty much this whole thing without actually using paint, just markers and a little bit of water. So remember, my friends at Van Heist, the choice is yours, what you'd like to use. You can use watercolor paint. You could use just plain old markers. You could use markers and water to create water painting. Or you know what? If you want to color this whole thing in with crayons, you can do that as well. This is your project, and I want for you to do it how you would like. I just wanted to show you some neat ways to make it possible. Hope you liked the video. I can't wait to see your perfect creations. Have a great week.